Alright, I've got this Stihl whipper snipper. It's an fs130 and it's off a family friend, and he's been having problems with it. It won't start and run, and the shaft's also spinning too, where it shouldn't when you go to pull it. The clutch is not releasing in here for some reason. Alright, I've got a T27. What we need to do is change the adapter with a 1/2 inch drive ratchet. Oh, now I should be able to undo this. This will probably want to pull out. Yeah, it will. So what we're going to need to do, because that wants to pull out the shaft, make sure we put this one aside. We're going to need to take this, disconnect the coil. Just be careful when you're taking the wires that off, you don't break it off. Otherwise if you break it off you'll be in trouble. Right, got the wires off. Now here's the throttle cable. So he's actually, if he's going to do this yourself, what it is, the slides in here. So when you're going to put the throttle back in, just hold it, pull it back up through, and that's it. And we've got to thread it back through this slide here, just like that, and then the throttle comes back around, and it just hooks in here. So very simple to get off, but just be careful with these plastic parts. You don't break nothing, because it's shit too easy to break. Alright, now I've pulled that off, we should be able to move the whole whip snipper and take this off. So get the cables out, like this should come off the shaft, if I'm right, like that. That's the end of the shaft where it just slides back in. Right, so now we can sit the shaft down like this. We should be able to just turn this up. We should be able to take this cover. Alright, we've got some screwdrivers here. Let's try and give it a bit of a sway. It feels like bloody cast aluminium. Got it. Check the clutch out. Forks in here. Only thing you can do with this is spray it with WD-40. More important than anything else. It's all rusty. It is pitted a bit. I mean, if you've seen it before and after it. Whoops, just be careful you don't damage nothing with it. Alright. Because that whole thing's a bit shitty, including the coil. We'll spray some WD-40 over it. our contact. The rust won't hurt on the coil side of it at all, so you won't have to worry about doing that. And we're going to have to file this clutch with sandpaper and in here, because this is just, it's so dry it wants to keep grabbing, and the rust, the reason why it's so tight and getting off is the rust is eating into it. All I can do, just file it, sand it. What else can you do with it? And then while doing it, I'm buying new clutch. And the thing is too, you're going to have to sand the whole thing in a complete loop. Have a look what we've done. We've got some of the shitty, as you can see. We're still going to get rid of some of this shit because this is that black stuff. I don't know if the camera's picking that up properly or not. But since it's shiny metal part, that's how we want it to be. So I have to keep sanding it right round. The pickup on the coil now is good. I'll leave that WD-40 in there too. And what that will do is, if you've ever got an engine block on the car or anything that's real white and crusty, that WD-40 will actually help. It's even got some corrosion in here already on it. But yeah, just keep sanding. You can feel that. Then I'll clean it and I'll show you. You can see that. Feels heaps better. Let's see how it goes on here. I'm going to put it back on. Which way does it go? Like that. Let's see if it wants to go back on the motor. Go back on there, alright. But I'm not happy with that. I want to do it some more. We actually got it back on the motor and it wanted to come off easy. The reason why I suggest you only use 600 and not 180 or anything is because if this puts grooves in this, what happens is, how this clutch works, for anyone that doesn't know, is when you rev up the whip snipper, when you rev this up, the clutch comes out and it grabs in this hub when the clutch expands, but pushes out. This will, when you rev it and you take your throttle off, it'll go back in. That's why the shaft will stop. They make two types of whip snippers. Some of them have just got a direct shaft that goes straight into here, and the head of them spins all the time. This one's a long shaft. You can see, them bent shaft ones have them heads on them where the head will turn at all times. But this is a long shaft. You can put a cutting blade, a steel blade on the end of this one. That's how the clutch works in these. Grease first. Alright, a little bit of grease. I've got some wheel bearing grease, it is. So we'll just pop that in there. Hopefully we can get the shaft back in the motor easy. You can just rotate your motor like that. You want to get the shaft back in it. You need to make sure the motor's sitting in the right spot like that here. Right, let's put the throttle cable back on it. So what you got to do is, we'll go around here and do it with one hand, and you'll be able to see it. What we'll do is we'll just sit in this attachment. Whoops. Right now, just use your finger. Slide that in there, pull it up, and we'll get the cable over. Bring the cable back around to the front, hook it into there. Let's test our throttle. Yep, it works properly. Good. Right, let's hook our plugs up back to the spark plug. Now we need to put our other screws in, but not yet. Now let's check the spark. We should have an improvement. Make sure the switch is bloody on. Oh yeah, got a good solid hit now. So that's good. So we're definitely cleaning up the flow. We'll definitely give it a spark increase. That's for sure. Now, never go overdoing these plugs or anything because you'll strip them. Let's just tighten it down. If you strip this cylinder head, you'll be throwing this out. It'll be good for the tip this. Yeah, right, now I've done all that. Let's try and get this back on. Oh, hang on. We haven't got everything back on here. We're going to put this little cover back on here. How did he go? Just like that. Right, we're going to need the screws for that. So what screws with these? T20. I'll get a T20 out. Alright, just got a T20 out of the shed. Whoops. That wasn't bloody supposed to happen. Go on there. And you do not want to go over tightening these either, because the minute you do, you're going to strip them. No problem. Right, so we've got our wires hooked up to the coil. They're all hooked up. We've cleaned our flywheel. Right, here. This cover is a nightmare. I don't know if I'll be able to hook the spark plug up and go push this cover on or not. long one of these in the rear. What size that T27 and it runs good because I'm sick of it already. I mean, they're just rubbish. Right, now, because I've got it, I think I have the shaft a little bit crooked. Let me just see from the motor. No, I think I've got it right. Don't want to go over tight and damage anything, but I'll just check the other screws, because it's worst thing is when you don't want someone ringing you up saying, oh, that thing what you pulled apart, it's all falling off. You know, you didn't do stuff up tight on it. I don't want to go wrecking it though, because I'm overdoing it. Now, we've got this spark plug cap. It's caught, oh no, that's it. Let's try and start it. Put the cover back on it. Right. Alright, I've gone through my screwdriver. I've got different ones here. They're all got written on what they are. A whole heap of them. And apparently this Stihl one's a double D. It's cool. Right, and that's what it is. A double D. So let's turn it around. What we're going to do is we're going to get it going. I'll poke the screwdriver in it. We only want to put in the high one. Come on, you prick. I mean, this is the petrol, but I mean if they straight filled it in the carby, so take the carby apart. There's just no other explanation for this. I've had this air filter out like 10 times yesterday, including the hands are hurting across here from pulling on all the time. Right, so let's get this back off. So what size is that? It's 5/16, so it must be about an 8mm. There was one thing we've got to do first before we take that off. So I'm going to disconnect this fuel line. I did it yesterday just by a screwdriver, just by popping that one off, and this one here. Just be careful with it. Right, pop them off. Don't worry about this one, leave that one there. Right, always take your fuel lines off first before you take the carb off. Right, let's get an extension. This carb kit too, I've looked it up, and it's apparently it's an RB114. So if you've got a Stihl fs130R, it's an RB114 carb kit for this. I've already checked it out, and I've got one of them too if I need to use it. Right, so you just take this off. This is what I did yesterday. This gasket did stick yesterday. Luckily I didn't damage it. And we should be able to just take this off. There is one thing we've got to do. It's this hose. There's a hose here. We just got to prise this off with a screwdriver. Just like that. And this is how it comes off. Just pull it off like that. That hose here. There's one there. Just be careful when you're using the screwdriver on them, not to wreck them. Alright, let's move the whip snipper over to the side. Get it clean. Just turn the bottom over. I've already taken this off and cleaned it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap the gaskets in it anyway, and I'll give it another quick blast. Same deal, lay it out. And a couple of fine little bits of trash in the top of it here. Alright. just got to get the two gaskets what's supposed to be there. That's one. This looks like it's two. And whenever you take this stuff apart, make sure you pay attention how they go, because it's easy to put stuff on here and get it mixed up. So we'll just give that a quick rightio. So it's ready to go on there. This is the top bit. Right, I've got this clean. Drop this back in here. Make sure my hands are clean too. So how we've got it is there's a gasket first, looks like. Oh, must be the other way. Gasket, and we've got another one. It goes like that. Just hold that one there for a minute. Rightio, let's get the bolts out. All the screws are very thin, it is. Alright, get it done up before it falls apart. Before I go tighten up, I'll just check, just to make sure there's no gaps in here. So what I'll do is I'll just go to wiggle it. I might loosen off that little bit. Oh, that looks good. Oh, what I'll do is I'll just make sure it's tight. Yep. Just double check the top. Yep. Top and the bottom's good. Right. We've cleaned the carb here. How you do that is you get your screwdriver, you push it straight in, just like that. And before you go doing anything else, get your fuel lines, you can hook them back up, because that makes it easier to do it now than what it does when you've got the rest of it back together. Right, now got that. Now the other part. Put that on. Now we're going to need our bolts. Not bolts, nuts I should say. And put our second one in, just nice and easy. Do them up by hand too, as far as you can go, so you don't damage anything. Make sure it's all in line properly. Our throttle up. Just like that. Then clip it back into the housing too. Into here. Just clips in here. Pull it in and out. Push that fresh petrol here. We know this petrol's good because it comes from me. Oh. That's good. Got prime already. Very good. So we know we haven't stuffed anything up in the carby. Right. cover off and have a look. Out. Jeez. So we just put a carby kit in it, probably for nothing. That's why it's backfiring. Not only is the timing out, the flywheel's not lining up when it goes around. That's why it won't. You'll be right. Oh well, let's pull the shaft off it. Put this shit back on it first. I've never seen nothing like this before. If anyone's thinking about buying a Stihl whip snipper, I wouldn't bother. Thing's a piece of shit. Look at that. It's sheared the key. It's sheared it up. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. That's what's wrong with it. It's shit. I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's sheared the what we have to do is wind this back in. Oh, and I've dropped my bloody tool in here. Right, I think we've found the problem. You're not going to believe it. All the shit I've gone through with it. I've had this thing apart, I've cleaned the coil, everything. What it actually is, look at this. How could this be possible? It's bloody sheared it off. How would the hell that happen? It's probably ruined that. Bloody hell. Yeah. What size is that? T27. I'll get a handheld one. Alright, let's crack these nuts on the clutch. This is a bloody new whippersnapper, this flywheel. This flywheel shouldn't have come off. There's no way this flywheel should have come off. It shouldn't have come undone. How do we get the clutch off though? Put that in there, how does this come off? It's not going to fly apart, is it? Be careful of that. I'm a big fan of when you take stuff off. It's always make sure we put the stuff, set it aside here. Why is the flywheel backed off? Look at this. A brand new whip snipper. Look at that. No one's had nothing on this to touch it. It's never been apart. Jeez. Yep. Just as I thought. Absolutely destroyed the flywheel. There's the keyway. Here's the keyway, what's left of it. Check that out. Check this out. I've never seen this before. Ever. All the shit I've ever worked on. Look at that. Fucking keyway's disintegrated. Well, at least we know what the problem is. It looks like the keyway is still in the flywheel though. Like it, because there's only a piece of it. Alright, I've got this flywheel here with the keyways completely flattened, stripped out, and I've got the shaft clean. Now, I rang up about a flywheel. They wanted $160 for one of these at the shop, and I said to them, that's just a rip-off. So what he advised me to do is he reckons mark it and put it back on, and we'll be able to reuse it. So if we can mark it on the other side, just like so. Just like that. We need to make sure we mark the top of it. Or the texture. Like that. And we also probably want to mark the thread too. With a permanent marker like that. So that way we know where we actually locate them. So once we've marked it, geez, I didn't get it very straight. Let me remark that. I've half-assed it a bit. Let me redo it. Right, so that's straight there, where that permanent marker is. And we've got it lined up on here already. So let's just line them two marks up. And this is what he told me at the shop to do. And let's get a right socket. And he reckons that the only reason that mark's on there is for the just the timing mark. The keyway's got no load on it. I'd prefer to have a good keyway in it, but he reckons he's done this a few times and they've never had a problem, so we're going to do this, what the shop recommends. So I've got myself the nut here. Let's put the nut on it. And we can see that mark on there where I put it. We can see it here. It's in line with it. We want to make sure we try and keep that mark on there. And what we're going to do is tighten it down. And how I'm going to hold this, I was thinking about drilling it, tiny little bit on the flywheel, like drill a hole and a dot, so the mark will be permanent. So that way you can just check it. I was going to mark the flywheel itself, but we'll have to do that. And to hold it, just get a rag, get your ratchet. What we want to do is shorten the ratchet. Don't go trying to jam nothing in here. Hold the actual flywheel itself. Right, I've really tightened it down now, and we can see our mark is still in line, so we're not out. I might see if I can crank on a little bit more, just to make sure it's extra tight. We really want it as tight as possible. Want to really crush it so this shit won't come off. Righto, let's put the clutch back on here. These are T27s, I think they are. Where's my bloody tool? Oh, there it is. by using these rags here. You don't want to go scratching up the machine or anything. If you're working on someone else's equipment, always make sure that you've got a cloth or something, or a wooden bench top, because you can really damage stuff and really knock it round if you don't do that. Want to make sure we've got that clutch tight. Don't want any of that coming off. Right, that's nice and tight. Now, let's get the shaft back on here. So, this cover here, we just wipe that out. That's how these covers should go on. Just slide straight over the clutch. If you have to use force, there's something wrong. Well, which could be the clutch is all rusty and it won't go in the actual hub itself. I'll show you. The clutch has got to go slide over the actual clutch. It goes in that drum. It slides in this drum. If this is real hard to get off or on, this is because it's rusty. So just give you a bit of a heads up there if you have that problem. And if they're sitting out in the weather and they get wet or anything, these clutches will get rusty and it will in turn cause the whip snipper shaft to keep spinning. We don't need that drill. Alright, we've already greased up the shaft before, so what we're going to do is put the motor back, slide the shaft in. Now to get this in, just turn the motor. Just turn the motor. I think I had it. Yeah, there it is. What happened is the shaft spline itself. I tried to turn it with the motor to turn the clutch over to get it in the holder. But the actual drum, I really need to turn the end of it down there. So let's tighten this up. In here. Alright, now we've tightened that up, we can put the cable back in. So what you need to do is slide the cable in that slot, bring it round. Right, what we're going to need is the screwdriver to adjust the tuning of it. Alright, I've got the owner's petrol here in a jar. The reason why I'm using the owner's petrol is because if I tune it up on the 25:1 mix I've got, and he goes to put his fuel in it when this runs out, it might run a little bit rich and it won't run real good. So always make sure if you tune up a whip snipper and that, make sure if you can use the petrol. Use the gas from there if you can. Just a little tip for everyone. Right, so let's put the cover back on it. Because I don't need to have the cover off it when I'm tuning it up. Make sure we bolt everything back up properly. These are all 27mm screws in this whip snipper to pull it all apart, and there is a couple more that are different sizes, like this one here is T20 and T27. Let's bolt it back up how it was, because I've stuffed around the mixer screws on it when I got it, because I thought that that's what someone did. That wasn't running very good and they played with the mixer screws, because you know that's normally what people do. Younger people seem to do that too. I just thought I'll give it a tune up and Rightio, fire her back up, turn and start. Alright, that's the Stihl fs130 whipper snipper. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, share, comment.